Hello and welcome aboard the Gallant Says podcast. It is Sunday, October 13th, 2024. Your Houston Texans are 5-1 for the first time since 2012. And they beat the New England Patriots in Foxboro for the first time ever. But I want to know how many of you people out there, are still turning your nose up and acting like you're too good for this Texans team. Hit it, baby!
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to see.
Grow, mother. Are you kidding me?
Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Today was no doubt a weird one. You, at times, thought the Texans were going to run the hell away with this game, especially just given what you saw from the Texans offense the first couple of drives and what you saw from the Patriots offense the first couple of drives. There was a moment in this game where I truly thought that a 40 burger was a lock, but a 50 burger was at the very least on the table. Because just think about how the way this thing started was. You march down the field on a touchdown drive that takes about 6 minutes. The Patriots go 3 and out. They run the first 2 plays. They throw the third play. People are getting, I think, a little bit antsy about how they ran the ball the first series with a rookie quarterback in. Texans march down the field easily again after getting the ball in really good field position thanks to a nice return by Steven Sims. They go and they score. It's 14-0, and on the very next series, Drake May makes his first completion, but a couple of plays later, on 3rd and 3, overthrows the shit out of his receiver. It gets picked off by Kalen Bullock, and you're thinking they're going to run away with this. And then they did what they've been doing, which is playing with their food. Texans miss a field goal after getting set up with a short field. A 40-yard field goal missed by Kaimi Fairbairn after he was the special teams player of the week. But hey, it doesn't matter. The Patriots punt it back. You think that they're going to run away with it again? Joe Mixon, very first carry. 59-yard run. Holy crap. And then the Patriots intercept C.J. Stroud a couple of plays later. All that to say this. There was a lot of slop in this game, a game that could have been a bigger blowout than it was, but the Texans did ultimately get the blowout victory you guys were all looking for. And my question is that good enough for you, or are you like Shania Twain in her hit song from way back in the day?
That don't impress me much.
Is that who you are? That's what I want to know. You can answer if you're watching this live on YouTube at Paul Gallant, or on Twitch at Gallant Says, or on Twitter at Gallant Says, or on Instagram at Sports Gallant, or on Facebook, facebook.com/Paul Gallant Sports. I want to hear from you. Let's read some comments to open up. What's up, Tim? What's up, Daniel? What's up, Mimi? I do not watch Big Brother. I don't really watch reality TV at all. Daniel Pena says, we have a great team, but consistently get sloppy. DeRhino on Twitch says, I think it was a good let's see it game where the team needs to see things work. Very good for growth. There was one area that I think you should be pretty happy about, and it's mainly that when the Texans do have Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce, the running game should be passable. I don't know if it's going to be like that every single week, and the Patriots have had some issues this year stopping the run. But those guys are clearly just more talented than Daria Gumbawale and Cam Akers. Mixon looked 100%, whatever ankle issues he was dealing with after that hip drop tackle against the Bears that he's still pissed about. It didn't seem to affect him at all. And I've told you guys for a while that I really believe in Dameon Pierce's talent, even if he's maybe not the biggest scheme fit. And his last couple of carries for the Texans in this game were really good. Obviously, he had that long touchdown run to cap things off. I got some comments on Instagram. Hunter Green, 0317 comments on Instagram at Sports Gallant. Texans are the team to beat. I'm not going to go that far. I want to. I feel like even though the Ravens had a really ugly start to the year, now having won 4 in a row and killing Buffalo a couple of weeks ago, plus another win on Sunday against the Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels, they've got a very strong case to be made. And, of course, they beat the Texans twice last year. Amazels says, I was impressed. Also on Instagram. Are you impressed?
That don't impress me much.
Or are you Shania Twain in her really, really, really strong and independent crop top hoodie? I think. Like a leopard print. It looks like a leopard print snuggie. Is it? No, it's definitely more stylish than that. And shout out to Shania Twain. Shout out to her. We wish her the absolute best. More comments on YouTube. Captain Crunch 72. Start a GoFundMe for Paul to have a case of Just for Men hair and beard color dye. Fuck that. I'm never dyeing my beard. I know there's a lot of white right now. We usually go very low with the old trimmers. I'm not doing that. I'm growing this thing out for a Halloween costume. But you're right. It is very white, and I felt very self-conscious at the bars on Friday and Saturday. Rich Boy J says you got to be crazy to not be happy with this win. Brandon Halam says would have been happier with 2 more Hunter sacks and 1 less May touchdown. But great win. See, this is where we start to get into the nitpicky territory. This is how you start to sound a little bit like Shania Twain saying,
That don't impress me much.
I think we're just going to make this a drop going forward for the Gallant Says podcast, which is also available live on YouTube and on Twitter and on Twitch and on Facebook and on Instagram, but also in podcast form on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So leave a review, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, sometimes you'll get a podcast. Sometimes you'll go 2 weeks without a podcast. Figure it out. I'm talking to myself. I'm not talking to you. I need to figure it out. Maybe someday I will. So, as I was saying to open this up, there were definitely moments in this game where I was frustrated. And at halftime, especially after the Texans allowed that deep play, Derek Stingley gets beat by Keyshawn Butte for a really nice throw by Drake May, but a touchdown nonetheless. I thought to myself, man, how is it 14-7 at halftime? And I think all of us were feeling that way. There were moments in this game where the Texans shot themselves in the foot. The Patriots just did it more. They turned the football over, and for a change, the Texans actually capitalized off of it. Interesting nugget dropped by Kevin Harlan in the middle of this was that the Texans had 17 points off of takeaways in this game, and they had only 3 points off of takeaways the entire year before this point, which is really impressive that they were able to do all of that in one game, but it's something that is certainly a result of them capitalizing off of another team's mistakes and maybe not putting some of the ones that they should put away in the rear view mirror. They have not done that. I mean, we're 6 games in, and a lot of the same things do seem to be happening, getting in third and long situations. Though this was a day where, honestly, I just felt like C.J. Stroud didn't play at his best. But I don't want to sound like I'm nitpicking and bitching about it. I think you need to take a look at the whole. You're a third of the way through the year. You're 5-1. You have the best record you've had since 2012, and you beat a team on the road that used to bully you. And, I mean, it's a totally different vibe up in Foxboro, Massachusetts these days and in the greater New England area. And as somebody who grew up a Patriots fan, yeah, we know we're not the belle of the ball anymore. I think there's about 5 years before Patriots fans start sounding like Cowboys fans, but they are so in the mud. I don't think any of them really want to talk about it. They're all looking forward to the tip-off of Celtics season, you know? More comments here. Sim Sam says, this is a great day. The Titans are trash, and the Cowboys got their asses kicked. Going to sleep like a baby at 5-1. Man, they really got their asses kicked, didn't they? Tony Medina says, Pierce really showed off. If he can keep this up, the run game is going to be a nightmare for teams. Slowick did his best play calling in first, third, and the fourth quarter. Throw the second quarter away. Yeah, the second quarter was rough. The second quarter you had right after Joe Mixon has that big run. where CJ Stroud throws a deep to Tank Dell, incomplete. Second down, intercepted on that pass to Dalton Schultz. Stroud didn't throw a very good ball there, but Schultz should have come back to the ball, fought for it, made a catch. It did hit him in the hands. It would have been a tough catch for sure, but he is pretty handsomely paid as a tight end, and I don't really think he's been living up to what he's been paid for. I think this was a rough game for him. He had a couple of balls off his hands. There was that other ball that hit him in the face. That one really wasn't his fault. Stroud was just trying to get rid of it, but not a great day for Dalton Schultz, who has not been looking good. I co-sign that comment from DeRhino on Twitch. Hands are stoned. Maybe a little extreme there, but yeah, not great. Brandon Hallam says would blame it on the receivers more than Stroud. He was bouncing it off of their hands. I don't want to get us into a position where we were with Deshaun Watson, where it's never the quarterback's fault. Stroud knows he can be better than what he was today, for sure. Mimi says, what's up with Green playing fullback? Dude looked aggressive there compared to the offensive line. I like the play call, though. It was interesting to see him out there at fullback. I feel like at this moment in time, because of maybe some moments where Cade Stover hasn't really looked good blocking, that might have been why they did it. But they did have him back there, you know? So, hey, man, if this is something that can help them do what they did today, do it again, even if that Patriots run defense isn't very good. And that's really my big question. Do you look at what the Texans did on the ground today and believe that they can continue to do it on a weekly basis? I have my doubts, and it's mainly just due to the fact that last year with Bobby Slowick and this year with Bobby Slowick, even with the injuries that they have been dealing with, specifically this year, it just feels like a lot of the runs are you're going to run straight into the offensive line. And you saw a lot of that today too, right? I mean, sure, Joe Mixon has the 59-yard run, and Dameon Pierce has the 54-yard touchdown run. But, I mean, if we're taking a look at what they were able to do and running for all those yards today, 26 carries for 193 yards at one point, a 7.3 yards per carry average, but 109 came on 2 carries. That was right after the Dameon Pierce touchdown. You like the progress, for sure. I wonder what it is, and as someone who's not going to study the film, I'm going to leave that to the actual experts, not to everybody who claims to be an expert online these days. I'll be honest, it's too many of you. Some of you maybe have a clue. Most of you don't. I just admit that I don't have one. I will say that whatever it is that they found that worked, they better do it, and they better find ways to piggyback off of it and do it some more. But it really did feel like today was not about Bobby Slowick's offense. It was much more about the talent that Joe Mixon has and the talent that Dameon Pierce has. Both of them look good. But I still have some real questions about Bobby Slowick's offense and its ability to run the football on a regular basis. Last year, sure, there was less talent, but is it really all on Dameon Pierce, or is it maybe more so on just what they're trying to run? I know that it's a variation of the Shanahan offense, which means the stretch play is big and the bootleg is big, but they don't really do that much, right? It feels like a lot of the times they just turn around and hand the ball off and the guy runs up the middle. They do a lot of these weird toss sweeps as well, where the sweep doesn't go, the ball's not pitched out to the side. The ball's pitched back, and then the running back kind of goes wherever he wants. It just feels like there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to what they're doing. Hey, let's run on first down right up the middle. Maybe we get 2 to 3 yards. And for the most part, CJ Stroud's had to bail them out on third down. But this was one of those days where you take a look at the stats after the game and what the Texans were on third down. 4 of 11. That's not good, you know? Especially considering how good things looked at the beginning of the game. I know some people are probably looking at the statistics. Oh, CJ Stroud only threw for 192 yards?
That don't impress me much.
I thought he was an MVP candidate. I bet one of those Speak for Your Pizza shows does that tomorrow on the TV. Oh, he can't even throw for 200 yards? What is he, Gardner Minshew?
That don't impress me much.
For sure, you're going to see some of that. Will Anderson, he did impress me much. 3 sacks. He's got 5.5 on the year. That is the third highest total in the NFL. There's a bunch of guys I think that are tied for 5.5. Aiden Hutchinson was leading with 6. Aiden Hutchinson was leading with 6.5, but it looks like he broke his leg today. We'll see if he returns for the Lions this year. But this was a really big game for Anderson. It wasn't just that. He had, I think he was credited with a stuff and a half per ESPN. He had a tackle for a loss per other stats. Websites that keep tabs of who has tackles and where those tackles were taking place. Not an exact science, surprisingly. I think we need to do a better job with how we compile stats for tackles, where the tackle is made, how hard the hit is. But Anderson had that, and he also had the tip ball that Eric Murray caught. And I got to admit, for those who have been with me a while, you know that I grew up a Patriots fan. Seeing Eric Murray catch that ball off of a Patriot receiver's helmet. Fuck, man. I mean, that was David Tyree all over again. I just had flashbacks to Syracuse University 2007, watching the then undefeated Patriots lose to the New York Giants in Super Bowl 42. Ugh. It's a hell of a catch by Murray. It was an incredible catch. I mean, it was really off that guy's helmet. And it happened because Will Anderson tipped the ball up and goes straight up in the air. He made a great play on that. In the moment, seeing him catch it, I thought for sure that the ball would have rolled away. No, he trapped it against that Patriot receiver's helmet and took it to the ground. What an incredible catch by Murray there. What other comments do we have here? Felipe Lama's comments. You were in Seattle for some time. Why is Seattle doing so bad? They're not doing that bad. The Patriots are doing way worse. 3 losses in a row. Pete Carroll was running a, I think, very good ship there, and I think Seahawks fans got a little bit greedy. And they kind of got to the point where some Texans fans are this year, where they are asking for things that maybe are a little bit unrealistic, you know? More comments here on YouTube. At Paul Gallant. And on Twitch, at Gallant Says. Angel Tapia says, the team looked good. Need to clean up a lot. For sure. They do have to clean up a lot, but it's nice that you got the blowout victory, right? You got some style points today. The Texans finally have a positive point differential on the season despite being 5-1, which is crazy. Dorino asks on Twitch, Big Paulie. Thanks for calling me big. I wear a medium shirt. It accentuates my bod a little bit more, but who am I kidding? Shouldn't I wear a large instead? I don't want anyone to see that I'm wearing a medium, but I wear a medium. I'd like to say it's a medium because it's a tight medium. Anyway, Paul, you're so self-conscious about your body. Get over it. Big Paulie, what do you think the Texans defense will look like when they're healthy and both Christian Harris and Danico Autry are playing? Well, you would think that they would play better. The fact that the defensive line has been what it's been to this point this year with no Danico Autry has been one of the surprises of the year. I think if you look at what the defensive line was going into the year, I know I was saying, hey, Foley Fatukasi and Mario Edwards, that's it. But both of those guys, since training camp, have been really good every single week. Edwards and Fatukasi were active. Fatukasi hit the shit out of somebody in this game. I forget when. And Edwards as well, putting his hands up, deflecting a pass that I think was on a 3rd down. Patriots fans were bitching about it. Should have been pass interference. Those two guys have been really good. So now think about what bringing Danico Autry into the mix, especially on pass rushing situations, can bring. Because this is a guy who you can line up on the edge, but you can also line up on the inside. And he had 10 sacks last year before the suspension that suspended him for 6 weeks. You really didn't miss him at all. This is a great shot in the arm to get with some other guys on the sideline, specifically Nico Collins. And we'll see what's up with Laramie Tunsil after this game. Larry Tunsil left the game with an ankle injury. He didn't come back in. Didn't really need to come back in with the way things were going. They obviously took out C.J. Stroud with like 5-6 minutes left in the game, put in Davis Mills. So hopefully Tunsil's okay, but Autry should be a tremendous shot in the arm. The pass rush and the defensive line have been really good. Hell, we even saw Daniil Hunter do something today. Hunter fucking smoked Drake May on one play, and I thought May might leave the game on that he forced a fumble on the play too. And it's about time. Hunter's been, in terms of production, disappointing to open up the year. There's no denying that. Mimi asks, how do you see Diggs at 1 for the game? I'm not really sure what you mean there, but Diggs did lead the Texans in receiving yards. Tank Dell finally got involved in the offense. Sort of had to without Nico Collins. I felt like the receivers had a good game. Diggs in particular always has had a lot of success against the New England Patriots. Different team, of course. But, I mean, he was with the Buffalo Bills last year and generally has had a lot of success against them over these last couple of seasons where he's been working with Josh Allen. So it continued. I thought it was pretty funny seeing him get that unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for rolling the ball in front of Christian Gonzalez. Might not have worked so well today because for whatever reason, Kaimi Fairbairn once again missed a bunny of a field goal, even though he's so good from 50 yards away. More comments. You can join us on YouTube at Paul Gallant, on Twitch at Gallant Says, on Twitter at Gallant Says, on Facebook.com/Paul Gallant Sports, and on Instagram at Sports Gallant. Benny Football comments ghost on Instagram. I don't know what that means, but hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. What else do we have here? Will Anderson, Defensive Player of the Year campaign? I don't know about that quite yet, but Aiden Hutchinson being hurt certainly helps him. I think he's going to need to have more production than what he's had. I mean, going into this game, we were talking about a guy with 2.5 sacks. He gets 3. Now he gets back up into the top of the league conversation. You do have to have a lot of sacks to get it, but the Texans win a lot of games and the defense is ranked towards the top of the league. There's a chance for sure. Rich Boy J asks, how do you feel the Texans match up against Green Bay's strengths and weaknesses? Well, I know the big weakness for the Packers is that Jordan Love is a gunslinger. And I saw a couple of the statistics from their win today. They rather convincingly beat I think, pretty good Arizona Cardinals team, 34-13 at home today. Jordan Love had 4 interceptions. He did 4 touchdown passes. He did throw an interception. He does throw a lot of interceptions, though. But look, they shoot the ball deep. He's clearly willing to chuck it. They had completions of 44, of 20, of 28 today. And that doesn't bode well for a Texans team that did give up 2 big plays today, right? I mean, you have the Kayshon Boutte touchdown down the right sideline where he beat Derek Stingley of all people. I was surprised to see it was Derek Stingley he beat. I figured it would be whoever was stepping in for Kamari Lassiter, who missed today's game with an injury. And then you had, of course, Eric Murray trying to stay with Demario Douglas over the middle, and that guy just took a slant all the way to the house. This has been a problem for the entirety of the DeMeco Ryans era with the Texans. They just give up some shot plays from time to time. So I would say that is where the Packers match up pretty well with you. I'm not going to lie, though. I'm going to have to watch a little bit of them, read up on them a little bit before I get a better feel for them. But this is actually a game to look forward to coming up on Sunday against the Green Bay Packers because they're actually good. Nicholas Melchor says, Mahomes is a 3-time champion. Lamar is a 2-time MVP. Like Meek Mill, there are levels to this. I'm assuming you mean levels of quarterbacking. Stroud's had a couple of mistakes the last couple of weeks that have been a little frustrating. I know the interception that he threw to Dalton Schultz. Was that really his fault? Was it Schultz's fault? I thought Stroud could have put a little more into it. And he always has these throws towards the sidelines, which I feel are slightly closer than they need to be when they're generally him trying to throw the football away. But, yeah, he's still got stuff to prove, and he's going to have to beat teams like that. Beating the Packers on Sunday, Jordan Love going into this year was getting hyped up by a lot of NFL talking heads as somebody actually in the same conversation as C.J. Stroud. And ever since the return that Love's had from injury, I mean, the numbers have been really impressive. 4 touchdown passes against the Cardinals. He had 224 yards passing and 2 touchdowns against the Rams. And that game against the Vikings, which was a close one, he threw for nearly 400 yards on that Vikings defense, which gave C.J. Stroud so many issues, and 4 touchdowns. He was picked off 3 times, but that was his first game back from injury, you know? All right, what else do we have here? Angel Tapia comments, Texans look good. Still a lot to clean up. Hopefully that run game can keep it up, which leads to my question. How does San Francisco make it work? It's a great question. I feel like it ultimately has to do with Kyle Shanahan for the most part, but they have had generally really good offensive line play too over the years. So maybe it's their offensive line coach. It could be that. I'll be honest, I don't know who that guy is though off the top of my head. Texas Boss comments, I dated a chick that was related to David Tyree. Here's an embarrassing admission as a Syracuse graduate. After the Giants beat the Patriots in Super Bowl 42, they brought out David Tyree to honor him before a Syracuse game. And these crowds were rather empty because Syracuse football was the pits back then. I still would go to all the games. Syracuse football's the team I like the most at Syracuse. I know the basketball team's always been the good one, but the football team was really what I loved. Football's my favorite sport. When Tyree got introduced, I booed him. I booed him so hard. I'll never get over Super Bowl 42. And I've had the most spoiled and blessed sports fan life ever. And I've done a little bandwagon jumping. The Astros. Tampa Bay Lightning. But I've moved all over the country. I don't know where I'm from anymore. More comments here. Angel Tapia says, I do feel like they made a statement. I don't know if today's a statement, but it definitely shows that they are capable of blowing teams out. And hopefully they do it a little bit more. Mimi says, Schmedium shirt at most. I kid. Parolin Steven says, your Jags tweet earlier made me angry. The shit before the ew was awful. Otherwise, would have been a good tweet. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I was trying to say Jags, R's. Yeah, that wasn't great. I was trying to do too much. I should have just gone with the British pronunciation. The Jaguars played this morning, and guess what? They lost again. The AFC South is fucking pits. And we're going to have a very cocky little Joe George coming into the radio show tomorrow because Caleb Williams looked very good out there. 35-16, the Jaguars 1-5. I wonder if Doug Peterson makes it back from London. Williams threw for 226 yards and 4 touchdown passes in the game. Also in the AFC South, I believe the Colts rallied to beat the Titans 20-17. So they're back at 500. They're 3-3. Joe Flacco magic in crunch time. The Titans, though, they really stink. And those terrible uniforms they have now, too. Levis threw for less than 100 yards passing. Jesus. That's bad. More comments here on YouTube. At Paul Gallant on Twitch. At Gallant Says on Twitter. At Gallant Says on Facebook. Facebook.com/Paul Gallant Sports. Some people are talking about basketball. Sorry, don't care yet. What else do we have? How long will Lassiter be out? Don't know. Not a doctor. Daniel Pena asks, Paul, do you think we beat the Packers? Again, tough to say right now. I feel like you're on the same level as the Packers. The Packers, though, just based off of how long he's been coaching, I think that they have a better coach. I mean, they won a game with Malik Willis under center. I like Matt LaFleur to this point. They win a lot in the regular season. And, I mean, Jordan Love has stepped in, and it's been pretty damn good. Look where the Jets are with Aaron Rodgers. That's not where the Packers are in a post-Aaron Rodgers world. Jets play tomorrow against the Buffalo Bills. David Lugo says, what about Kalen Bullock coming through in this game? Yeah, Texans swarm.
It's football time in Houston, and we're ready to play.
Texans swarm. Yeah, that was, I think, a very impressive performance by Kalen Bullock today. Being in the right place at the right time. Now, sorry, about to humble brag about playing high school football in Florida again, but I played safety. You know what I was good at? Being in the right place at the right time. Kalen Bullock's always in the right place at the right time. Got a fumble recovery, got an interception. I like what I'm seeing out of him thus far. And, I mean, between he and Kamari Lassiter, you've gotten a lot of positive returns on your draft picks. Hell, Blake Fisher, he goes in, didn't seem to be a disaster when he came in at left tackle for Laramie Tunsil when he got hurt. Now, short fields and big, long runs by Damian Pierce helped him out for sure, but Fisher didn't look bad. He didn't look bad at right tackle either, in for Titus Howard. So right now, you're getting a lot of contributions from this year's draft class, and none of them look like they're bad players. Maybe Kate Stover's on a good blocker. Didn't see that much of him today, though. That's for sure. I really like some of the stuff that's been going on defense, though, and I'm glad that Kalen Bullock got brought up so that I can spitball about it. Kalen Bullock has the interception and the recovered fumble. Daniil Hunter has a sack and a forced fumble. Azeez Al-Shaair, he forced a fumble his first play back after returning from injury. And Petrie, Al-Shaair, Edwards, Fatukasi, these guys fly around and they just stick people. They really hit hard, this team. And I'm curious as to who the best player on the Texans defense is after Will Anderson. Right now, it's definitely Will Anderson. He's got 5.5 sacks. He created the most havoc today. He had the deflected pass that got intercepted by Eric Murray. But who is the second best player? And I think it's Azeez Al-Shaair. He flies to the football, tough, stays in games, whether it's dealing with an illness or dealing with whatever injury he was trying to shake off today. And he fucking hits people. I mean, he really lays the lumber with these guys. And it's exciting to see them have a guy playing linebacker like this, given where they've been over the last couple of years. Remember what you were getting at a Denzel Perriman in the middle last season? And Christian Harris got better as the year went along, and you didn't really see much of Henry To'oTo'o, but there's been some bad linebacker play for the Texans the last couple of seasons. And Al-Shaair is pretty good in coverage, but more than anything, he flies around, and he is violent out there. And that's what you need. Jalen Petrie, too, in run support, had that great play where he cut through and he tackled the guy for a loss on I think it was a run to the right. You're getting some really good contributions in terms of just being able to hit people, hit stick all over the place for this team. And that's definitely a reflection of what D'Amico Ryans is bringing to this locker room. They are a violent, mean team. And I like that. I like a defense that's like that. I'd like less big plays given up, but no, I really like what I'm seeing defensively. All right, let's read some more comments here. Drew Vanderfort says, Chiefs 49ers next Sunday. Let's go, Chiefs. That ought to be an interesting game given who the 49ers are missing. We'll see if Christian McCaffrey plays at all this year. Dealing with like 2 borderline Achilles injuries. And the Chiefs have just been, by Chiefs standards, playing down to their competition. Although maybe that game against the Saints is their first blowout. It's a sign of more blowouts to come. I think if you're the Chiefs, because you've been there and done that, people are not going to jump on you as much as Texans fans have been jumping on the Texans for not getting blowout victories. You know, you're going to get a lot of, oh, they know what it takes to win, blah, 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 stuff like that. Cebu says, I hope the Jets and Cowboys aren't crumbling too soon before we face them. No, dude, you want to take advantage of a weaker schedule. The Texans are going to be plenty tested the last month of the year. That back-to-back stretch around the holidays where they're playing the Chiefs and the Ravens, we're going to have a very good idea how they compare to those teams then. In the meantime, rack up as many wins as you possibly can get and maybe put yourself in the 1 seed conversation. Because you're in that right now. Because you're 5-1. There's only 5 one-loss teams or less in the league right now. You've got the Chiefs 5-0, the Texans 5-1, the Vikings 5-0, the Lions 4-1, and since the Commanders lost today, there's only 4 now. So you're in really rare air. And one way to stay in rare air is have bad things happen to the teams that you're going to play, you know? I don't think they're going to overlook the Jets or the Cowboys either, given that the Jets game's going to be in prime time, and it's the Cowboys. I think a lot of guys grew up wanting to play against them or for them. Tora McJohnson comments, Texans gave the Patriots 2 losses today. 1 with the blowout loss and 2 for giving Patriots fans false hope about Drake May. I like Drake May today, so maybe that is false hope, but I liked him. I liked what I saw. Thought he was tough getting up from that hit of Daniil Hunter. He clearly has the chutzpah to throw the football down the field. He was today what the Titans wish Will Levis was right now. And bad habits can compound, but he was good at scrambling. The deflected interception, I don't think was his fault. The Kalen Bullock interception was terrible. That one was, his first couple of throws were rough. I think he had him throw down the left sideline. It was 5, 6, 7, 8 yards out of bounds or so. But if they had played Jacoby Brissett and not won in blowout fashion, that's where I think a lot of the people who are all
That don't impress me much.
about the Texans, they would have thought to themselves, what the fuck? They can't beat this team, because they would not have moved the football at all with Jacoby Brissett. They have been just pits. And there's no Ramondre Stevenson for them today. So that's one of those games where the rookie quarterback actually was the tougher out. And he definitely gave the Texans some problems. Not a lot, but some. He was respectable today, that's for sure. Parolin Steven asks, what's up with Christian Harris? Nope, just on the PUP list because of an injury that he suffered in camp. We'll see when he's back. Looking forward to whenever he returns. Returns? What does that even mean? Mimi, what did you run a 40 in, Paul, at your fastest? The last time I ran it and I was measured, and shout out to Texans quarterback coach Gerard Johnson for helping me out here. The last time that I ran it, this was back in 2014, and it was measured with a laser. It was a 4.84. I feel like I might have, maybe my junior year of college, maybe I could have run a 4.7. I was fast in high school. I think a lot of people lie and say that they ran a 4.6. There's very few people that ran a 4.6. Like, I might have run a 4.75 at most. I was quick. I had really good acceleration in Madden, if you will. But I don't think that as fast as I was and as fast as I still think I am playing flag football, I don't know if I ever would have broken 4.7. And right now I am a little fat for what I like. I'm 180, 188. For me, it's fat. I have terrible body image issues. DeRhino says, sometimes I wish you had a regular streaming schedule. I need to do it myself. The plan is to do it at 4 p.m. after my radio show. Maybe we'll start it as soon as tomorrow. But the problem is I just get ADD, or I get in moods where I don't want to do it. I get lazy or depressed or whatever. I don't know. But I do want to do it more. I'll try to do it a little bit more. I procrastinated today way too long after the game was done, getting all my stuff out there. You in the studio should do a 40-yard run getting clocked and record it. Coors Light at the finish line. We've done it before at 6:10, but yeah, I don't know if 97.5 guys would do that. Brandon Hallam says, selfish, I'm thankful we won't see Blake Fisher versus Aiden Hutchinson. I agree. Jeez. What else do we have? Aiden Watson, this is I know what you're trying to do here, and I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read it and Confucian say, but Tom Brady is not walking back through that door for my New England Patriots. It was weird watching this game. I've brought this up before, and if you don't know already, I grew up in Massachusetts. I was a diehard Patriots fan growing up. The reason I covered sports is because of how much I love the Patriots and football specifically. But ever since I have moved away from Massachusetts, and I moved away from Massachusetts in 2003, like my parents split up. I moved to Florida with my mom. My dad and my sister stayed up in Massachusetts. I was only in Massachusetts for one of the Super Bowls. I didn't live there for the Red Sox World Series win or the other 5. I spent summers there. I would go on vacations there. And my dad, who was the most generous person, would fly me up. I'm a little rich kid to go watch Patriots games multiple times a year. From Tampa up to Boston. I would go to playoff games and stuff. I'm so far removed from having lived in the area, though, and since I spend so many Sundays covering the Houston Texans, I do find myself watching these games, especially now that Tom Brady's not there and Bill Belichick's not there. Cut me some slack. I mean, it's just not the same, but I feel myself more getting annoyed when the Texans do poorly against the Patriots than I get excited about the Patriots doing well against the Texans. I'd go back to 2018 when I was working at the flagship and the Texans lost that season opener to the Patriots. I was pissed at the Texans. I got mad. I think I got in trouble with certain folks in the Texans because I just went on a rant in the middle of the Monday show that we had after the game because I got pissed at the Patriots, that the Texans down 2 touchdowns to the Patriots with 5 minutes to go, punted. I thought it was fucking crazy, and the Patriots muffed the punt, and the Texans recovered it, so they got bailed out, but I was so pissed that they punted. To me, it felt like a beta bitch kind of move, and I said that on the air, and I got in a little bit of trouble for that. But I was mad that the Texans lost that game more than I was happy that the Patriots won that game. But it's September. I think the real true barometer would be if the Texans ever play the Patriots in the playoffs again, would I be rooting for the Patriots this time? Because the last couple of Texans-Patriots playoff games, I have 100% rooted for the Patriots. The 2012-2013 season and the 2016-2017 season with Brock Osweiler. What else do we have? On YouTube, at Paul Gallant. On Twitter, at Gallant Says. On Facebook.com/Paul Gallant Sports. Is this a real screen name? Fetterman's syphilitic penis on X says, if Houston can win a blowout with Stroud only getting 191 passing yards and 1 interception, I feel good about their chances. That's what happened. And that's what happens when you're running the ball all over the place. You get big plays and you score points off of takeaways. And they finally did. It's about time, To 3 points off of takeaways through 5 weeks is stunning. I did not know that until today. All right, what do we got? Tormac Johnson says, Paul's a fake Patriots fan. I'm a fake fan of everything these days, Toro. I don't know what I am. I don't know who I am. It sounds like dark and depressing. No, seriously, it's one of those things where I don't have the same passion about the outcome of a game that I used to have. It used to be psychotic. Like I used to throw massive temper tantrums when the Patriots lost, and we're talking like into college. I've gotten a lot better on that front. But now, especially for regular season games, I'm pretty indifferent. I'll get mad at specific moments during the game, but yeah, I don't have that same passion anymore, I'll get happy after a win, but I don't get the same kind of rage. Omar Merck on Instagram at Sports Gallant says, who do you think wins, Packers or Texans? I'm flying to Wisconsin for the game. Well, shout out to you. From what I understand, and I've never been, I never would go, but I was looking up online at like attractions in Green Bay, and maybe we'll do this again. I know we did a podcast episode of this before. There ain't shit to do up there. Like, it is just a fucking boring place. They should have the Packers playing in Milwaukee. Milwaukee's great. I don't know if you've ever been to Milwaukee, and Omar, if you're going to Milwaukee, you should go. Milwaukee's a beautiful place, especially this time of year. It's probably not too cold. The leaves are going to be changing. Truly, I think you would love to go to Milwaukee, walk around. The buildings are beautiful. There's a Spotted Cow beer, really good. I loved Milwaukee. It was really good. Mimi says, you think the fans are happy now with our record or still room to bitch? Well, I guess we could just take a look at the statistics. Okay. So you had 3 touchdown passes.
That don't impress me much.
So you can't throw for 4 touchdown passes without Nico Collins? Hashtag fraud. Talking about CJ Stroud here. I'm sure there's some people out there that are like, well, Stroud's not that good. He didn't even throw for 200 passing yards today. And to them, I would just give a wanking motion of disrespect and disgust and distaste. Oh, well, Stephon Diggs didn't even have 80 yards receiving.
That don't impress me much.
Oh, well, take Dell. Oh, where's he been all year? He finally get 7 catches?
That don't impress me much.
Oh, the Texans only had 4 takeaways in this game against the rookie quarterback?
That don't impress me much.
Oh, the Texans only sacked Will Anderson 4 times. Excuse me, they only sacked Drake May. The Texans only sacked Drake May 4 times?
That don't impress me much.
Oh, and 3 of them were by Will Anderson, and he didn't even have 4?
That don't impress me much.
I mean, there's a lot of that. I haven't seen as much today. They're driving me crazy, though, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that this is just the radio station I work at. They're a little bit more indifferent to the Texans than the one that I was working at when I first moved to Houston, which was a lot more pro-Texans, and I talked a lot more about it. And I don't know. I mean, 2 years ago during football season, we didn't even talk about them during the Lovie Smith year with Davis Mills under center, and Dameon Pierce was their best player. No, we didn't do that. Wake Up and Piss Excellence asks, where was Daniil Hunter?
That don't impress me much.
Oh, only 1 sack? Only 2 sacks thus far this year? Oh, his biceps so big. He only gets 2 sacks?
That don't impress me much.
Daniil Hunter, oh, he only curls 300 pounds of a dumbbell in each arm?
That don't impress me much.
Dad comments on YouTube, the wanking motion is crazy work. Sorry, Dad. John Ryan says, I'm headed to Wisconsin Wednesday, and I'm going to the game. Texans are going to win this one, too, 38-27. Well, you heard it there first. Brandon Halam is looking at mock drafts. Bro, don't look at mock drafts. Never look at a mock draft. Mock drafts are such a fucking waste of time. I really think that the entire pre-draft industrial complex is a waste of everyone's time, and I have a lot of respect for Lance Erline, who I know does a lot of work for the NFL, NFL.com, doing all these scouting reports. And to me, if you're doing this industry that is so discussed, so talked about, but there's so many times that you end up wrong, like why would you keep doing it? That's what I don't get about it. And a lot of people do it. A lot of people love it. I've just, over the last couple of years, I've realized that a lot of people seem to be talking about what a very select few people are saying about the draft and coming to these grand sweeping conclusions about what a player will be or won't be based off of these random write-ups and maybe watching a little bit of film themselves. And sure, you can like a player and you might not like a player, but seeing somebody play at college is totally different than seeing somebody play at the NFL level. It depends on the system and the scheme and the coaches and all that stuff. So I just, around draft time, it's probably my least favorite time of the football season. I'll even say this still. I am happy that the Patriots drafted a quarterback that's actually mobile instead of a guy who had man boobs like Mac Jones. I was in better shape than Mac Jones. Disgusting that guy was an NFL quarterback for my favorite team. And yeah, I thought that when they first drafted him. I bod-shamed him. I bod-shamed the shit out of him. Sorry, you should have to be athletic to be a quarterback in the NFL today. You can't be Jared fucking Lorenzen out there. And if you're not even Jared Lorenzen sized, RIP, I mean, so you're just, what was Mac Jones? Skinny fat? No, you need to have somebody that's athletic who can move. Drake May can do all of those things, but it's one game, and I'm not gonna trick myself into thinking that a 3-touchdown performance for Drake May, a touchdown pass right before halftime of 40 yards, and another means that he's going to be good or great. It's one game. It was a good game. All these guys who make it to the NFL level are capable of, from time to time, looking like this. Like, right? Remember when Will Levis looked awesome last year too? Trevor Lawrence has had good moments. He's struggling this year. It's one of those things where I still look at Drake May, and as somebody who wants to see him succeed, I will tell you straight-faced right now, he's probably not going to be the guy. They're probably going to have to move on to another one. I'd be very happy if it's not that, but hey, he's probably not. What are the odds of a draft with the 3 guys picked 1, 2, 3 all being successful? Because you're seeing it from Caleb Williams. You've seen it from Jaden Daniels thus far. Will it last all year? I don't know, but that's sort of where I'm at with the pre-draft process. So, long way of me telling you, don't even pay attention, especially now. It's fucking October, man, you know? Wait. Waked Up and Pissed Excellence said Joel and Jeremy weren't impressed with this win.
That don't impress me much.
Yeah, probably not. Omar says on Instagram, tell that to Lance, the preeminent draft expert. Look, I would tell that to Lance. I know he puts a lot of work in. It's just, to me, it's a wasted effort. What is it, a 50-50 proposition at best? With all that work that you put in? That'll drive me crazy. Daniel BNMA. Is that DJ? DJ says, let's play flag, Howard. I need to get my cleats. Need to get my cleats. Skeeter 2 times. How about that good ass kicking on the Patriots? It wasn't ass kicking, but it could have been a better ass kicking. Mimi asks, how do you feel Boise State running back will do in the NFL? Well, I know he's going to do it without dreads because I think he made a bet with his teammates that if he doesn't get 2,000 yards, he has to chop off his dreads. DJ, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it on Monday. Might be next week. World of Warcraft Spartacus comments. Mario Edwards or Fatukasi starting with Danico Autry next week. How about this? How about all three? How about that? How about a 5-man defensive line? Yeah, we're going to do some crazy shit. They're going to rotate in. I would imagine that Autry comes off the bench at first just because you want to get him up to playing shape. But I think the good thing with Autry is Autry can be moved all over the place. And with what you've seen from Edwards and Fatukasi to this point, he doesn't need to be in there right away, you know? And if I'm not mistaken, how old is Danico Autry? I want to say he's like 33. He's been in the league 34 years old. So, I mean, he's not going to be playing every down probably, you know? He had a great year last year for sure, but we'll see. 34-year-old guy who's missing a lot of camp, how he looks when he finally gets out there. Jeff Van Hundy says, does Jeremy walk around the office and shoulder bump people as he passes them in the hallway? No, he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. Sadly, there's not as much inter-show hostility as maybe there needs to be. What do we have? I think I've touched on just about everything I needed to in this game. I know it's disjointed. Next time, if we actually do the show right after the game is done, maybe it'll be a little bit more organized, but you should be happy with this 5-1 start. I get that there's things to nitpick, and they do need to clean them up by the end of the year, and it does feel like that process of cleaning them up has been far too slow. However, when you're winning a game in the league like this by 20 points, especially if it's over a team that has owned you in the past, even if this is a totally different team, enjoy it for a moment. I'm already rolling my eyes at the people tomorrow who are going to complain about all of the missed opportunities the Texans had in this game that they still ended up winning by 20 points. Oh, Drake May had a couple of big plays. This Texans defense.
That don't impress me much.
Like, we're going to get a lot of that. We're going to get a lot of that, I bet. And I'm already annoyed in advance about it. What would actually impress you? Oh, well, you know. Texans only had 200 yards running today.
That don't impress me much.
I mean, where was that in the second quarter? They could have had 250, 300 yards rushing. A lot of those runs by the Texans, they weren't going anywhere in this game. Although, to that point, I actually was annoyed a couple of times. Eric Murray in coverage. Derek Stingley. Maybe he's not the best corner in the game.
That don't impress me much.
Dalton Schultz. What's up with your hands, bro?
That don't impress me much.
Kaimi Fairbairn. You got 2 Special Teams Player of the Week awards. Look at you. You can't even hit a 40-yard field goal. What the fuck?
That don't impress me much.
There's a lot of that. And I guess I'm going to have to deal with that on Monday. Seeing it on Friday drove me crazy. And I knew that a win over the Patriots probably wasn't going to impress that many people. But you should be happy. They won in convincing fashion in a game where they did make a lot of mistakes. And it was against a team that did have a pulse. I think New England with Drake May is a significantly better team than they were with Jacoby Brissett. So there you go, guys. That's going to wrap up today's live stream of the Gallant Says podcast, which you can catch live on YouTube at Paul Gallant or on Twitch at Gallant Says, or on Facebook at facebook.com/Paul Gallant Sports, or on Instagram at Sports Gallant. What we're going to shoot for this week is to do it at 4 p.m. Central Time after my radio show is done. We'll see if I can actually stick to that, but that's the plan for now. If you can't catch it live, it will be posted in podcast form on Spotify. Search for the Gallant Says podcast. On Apple Podcasts as well. Search for the Gallant Says podcast. Leave a 5-star rating, a nice little review. Help me feed my cat. Until tomorrow at noon for my radio show on at ESPN Houston or on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Noon to 3, it's Gallant and George. Or till later, 4 p.m. for the next edition of the Gallant Says podcast. I am merely Paul Gallant. So long, farewell, and have yourselves a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Peace!